Let's take a quick turn, and we just want to know about Hadar and who he was as a person, as a 23-year-old guy. Like, what made him happy and laugh, and how he was with his fiance. Like, who was he? Tell us about him.
Yeah, Hadar was a great leader since day one. Of course, we had those twins, great twins, usually act like 18. Very complementing each other. As sources, we were complementing each other. I'm in right hand, and Hadar left-handed. So this is just to give an idea how they complement each other. And Hadar was a happy person. I mean, when you look at him with his big smile, he was smiling from the inside.
From his eyes.
You know, when we were sitting Shiva and his soldiers came along, they told us that, and I'm talking about soldiers that he was commanding during basic training, which is quite difficult at the IDF.
Yes.
They said that he always demanded from them that smile would be the default, unless you have a good reason not to smile.
Wow.
I mean, hearing that from soldiers, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, so he was a true leader, and he was an instructor in Bnei Akiva youth movement. Now we knew he has great ideas, but we didn't realize how much, because during the Shiva, all those his students from Bnei Akiva came along, and his soldiers, and brought us a lot of his writings. I mean, he used to write to them a lot of notes, recently with WhatsApp, you know, discussing different issues, discussing a lot of values that he was expecting from them. I don't know if you want to tell about Hadar, but they reflected to us amazing phrases that he was using, and then by hearing it, you know, from one and another one and then another one, you get a picture. For instance, one of his phrases that are most common now in email signatures is, you have two options in life, to deal with yourself or to do great things. And in Hebrew he used to say, יש לך שתי אפשרויות בחיים, להתעסק עם עצמך או לעשות דברים גדולים. Right. Now, apparently he managed with this phrase to motivate soldiers, youngsters in very difficult situations. And now I use it to motivate myself when I start a day. Wow. It's amazing. And so he had those, you know, simple but very deep phrases and the way to communicate. I mean, this is one of and Simcha goes now around with a wonderful lecture about the development of educational leadership.
Okay.
Only by quoting his writings.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, leadership must be consist on something.
Sure.
So his leadership was from the point of view of educational process all the time. Even when he was young, as a madrich in Bnei Akiva, everything that he did, it's connected somehow to educational process. And there's a lot of examples. Okay, yeah.
Tell us everything.
Yes.
Everything. This is the time. We want to hear all of it.
An amazing example.
Please, we like that.
Yes. When he was a madrich, I mean,
was
we
an
talk about
instructor?
15, he was 15 years old.
Okay.
You know, in Bnei Akiva, they have to pray, you know, and the common thing, when you pray, you talk.
Talking the poem.
So what do you do as an instructor when you see all the kids are talking? What would you do usually?
Yeah.
You try to shh. Okay, but not Hadar. So, and I'm telling this story after, realizing only after he was killed. I mean, I knew something is happening, but not to the
No,
extent.
we knew. People told us.
So what did he do? On some Friday, all morning, he was creating a mock-up of a Bible. And I remember Tzur was joking with him, oh, you're putting so much effort in this, you're crazy. So he created a mock-up of a Bible, and then when they had this meeting on Shabbat, he threw it on the floor and started jumping on it. And the kids were crazy about it. What are you doing? Are you jumping on the Sefer Torah, on the Bible? It's wrong, you know, Bnei Akiva, religious people. So then after a while he stopped and said, no, this is a mock-up, but that's what you do for the tefillah.
Wow.
Prayer. That's what you're doing while we're praying.
Full stop. I mean, that's how he convinced
And
them.
how old he was 16?
15 years
Oh
old.
my God.
I mean, imagine, first of all, his idea, wonderful idea, and then is willing to do it, to create it. Of course, he was using his artistic skills, but the fact that he was ready to
investigate. Yeah.
to invest the time
That's
to
what
do
I mean.
it. So this is one thing. A lot of other thing was to write them a lot of messages. And I don't know, we have many examples. What else do you want to... In the army, and this was a very serious one, how do you educate people to stand up to values? Or to discuss values? It's very difficult, it's conceptual. So when we were sitting Shiva, all his soldiers, Goldin team, they kept his name,
They
came
came
on
out
Tisha B'Av.
from Gaza. They
Yeah.
went
Wow.
out.
When they came from, it was Tisha B'Av, we were sitting in a circle and they just talked about him. So, and everyone was laughing. You know, the way he transferred the laugh to them is amazing. After all, it was a Shiva. But whenever they talked about him, they were smiling.
Wow.
And we can see pictures from the basic training that he took of his soldiers carrying those stretchers, you know, very big, huge effort. They were smiling.
Yeah.
So they said that he had this crazy idea. He called it Chet Arachim. How do you say it in English? Circle of
Chet,
values.
it's circle, but it's not circle. You know the letter Chet?
Yeah.
In Hebrew, it's like...
It looks like a box, but
Yeah,
no
open
bottom.
box. Like,
No
Oh,
bottom.
okay.
So imagine
Yeah.
a square, but the bottom.
Three-sided box.
yeah,
Inside of box, yeah.
exactly.
So he's called, and it's called
Eighth letter of the alphabet.
It's the eighth letter. It's called a chet, and he called it the chet of values.
Chet of values. What did he do? In the elite units, when the commander is talking to his soldiers, they have to stand like a chet.
Yeah.
That's the position.
For those that don't know,
that's
in the
formation.
military in Israel,
Right.
when a commander addresses you, all the soldiers line up in a U shape, which is also
Okay.
the same as a chet.
you. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Very
Like
simple.
a
We can use
square
the
U.
The commander
Yeah.
stands in
Use
the
the U.
middle and he addresses his squad or his soldiers or whoever is in front of him.
Wow. So he used, when they were under the most effort, you know, carrying their friends and very tired, he asked them to stand in that form.
You.
And was asking each of them, please present a value and then tell us who other on the team was acting upon this value during this week.
Oh, wow.
All this effort.
Wow.
So I was asking them, so did you have to think about it the whole week? So they were joking. They said in Tirunut, in basic training, we have 3 minutes to prepare for the next mission. So apparently he managed to bring the whole discussion of values to the into the daily activities.
Yeah.
So now in Israel, people are following this in school and especially in the army where they have training.
Yeah.
They
They called it Mizdar Adar, but it's hard to
say it in
translate.
English.
So Mizdar.
Means the Hadar
Mizdar,
protocol.
It's act. No,
It's
Mizdar,
not
it's
Mizdar, it's,
order. It's order. It's order.
It's also
Order,
when
okay.
school, like when they call
But
it
in Hebrew, it's
school.
sound better.
Assembly, like
Assembly.
the Hadar
Assembly.
assembly.
Yes.
So, but it
It's like
rhymes in
every-
Hebrew, so that makes
Okay.
it better.
Of course.
It has Mizdar
Mizdar.
Hadar.
It's
Hadar.
musical. It's
Hadar.
not-
It
Exactly.
doesn't work as well in English, but that's.
But he called it Chet Arachim.
Right.
Right.
You evaluate.
And then we found in his notebooks, he had a lot he was writing all the time. We found where he summarized to himself, Today I didn't have time. I mean, we didn't manage to do this Chet Arachim, so
Yeah.
we had it in complementing what they
What
told
they
us.
told
So for him, it was a way to educate them.
It's so special.
So this, in terms of, now there is the art and Mesilat Yesharim.
Yeah.
With the art, just to
Mhm.
a bit
Yeah,
of a
tell us.
story.
I used to live on a street in Jerusalem called Mesilat Yesharim.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a very
Maybe
famous.
you start with
Mesilat
Mesilat
Yesharim is a
Yesharim.
very famous book in Israel history, in the Jewish history, dealing with the question how to be more good, actually, a better person. It's called Mesilat Yesharim. Mesilat is pass,
Pass.
and Yesharim is the right way. The-
Like
Straight
the
and
path of
the
the
straight and
right
narrow.
way.
The pass to the
Kind of
right
like the
way
path
of acting.
yeah, something like
righteousness,
that.
but
Yeah.
not righteousness in a religious
No.
way. Like, in,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, so there is a book called Mesilat Yesharim,
Yeah.
and it's unusual book. It's not so big. He studied between the end of his studying in high school and the army. Both our twins were in academic,
Pre-military.
pre-military academic, and he studied this book. And he wrote a commentary on the book. It's on the book. He wrote it on the book.
Wow.
And
With a pencil
With a
in
pencil.
font size too.
to himself, it's not for others, to himself, how to manage to fulfill the demands of the writer. How he can,
Oh, wow.
He
What
wrote
he
to
can-
himself practices, how to do it.
yeah.
How
Right.
to do it
How
on
to
a
apply
daily
it to his
basis.
life.
Wow.
He sounds like he was on a constant search for growth and movement within himself, and it seems like he inspired everyone around him. I mean,
Right.
the way that you both speak of him,
All right.
there's such a light that comes through. It's-
Exactly.
It's so incredible. It seems like that comes through you, it comes through the soldiers, it comes through everyone who hears their stories. It's just
But it's not tragic because he was a very funny fellow.
yeah. No, but it seems like it's
we
such a-
can
yeah. I mean, it's
serious but
incredible.
funny.
Yeah, that's so
Whatever
incredible.
circle he touched, they were influenced. And now after he was killed, it's more and more with all the activities we do, and actually they raise from others, whenever we do a trip or something, or before Shavuot we do some learning, they take one of his writings and just discuss it. And it's amazing for youngsters, for old people, for older people. So now Simcha is working to publish this book,
Oh, wow.
which is not very easy because he wrote it for himself.
Right.
So it's not clear just to put it, but then after thinking about it, the way to go is to publish it as a book that you can ללמוד בחברותא עם הדר. You can study with
To
הדר.
study the book with him.
Wow.
That's,
With him, as if it's
That's
not
the
that
challenge.
Yeah,
It's very difficult, but we'll make it.
Now, the other thing was his art. He expressed everything in art. We strongly invite you to the exhibition. You can see wonderful paintings with wonderful colors,
Yeah.
Impressionism style, wonderful, along with comics that he used to do. This was his favorite. And actually the name of the exhibition was taken from his writings.
It's final piece.
The final piece, how
And
come?
peace is spelled
Yeah, peace. As in
P-E-A-C-E.
peace.
Peace.
Mhm.
How come? For that exhibition, when we went on our last sabbatical year to Cambridge in the UK, Hadar and Sur were after Bar Mitzvah, 13 years old, 14. So they studied art and design. And as part of this study, they were working on a sketchbook where they had to do a research on the subjects, learning from other artists and summarizing things, and then they had to choose the final piece. So during his
So the
work on
test.
music, he had in his mind something that is presented there. It was a street where he took photos on a gang playing music in the road, you know, like in England they know they do it. And raining. And it was raining, pouring, and people were standing to listen. So he wrote to himself and explaining why he chose this subject. And then ended up and saying this will be my subject for the final piece. But then he still had spelling mistakes. So instead of writing peace part, he wrote
Peace, P-E-S.
Oh.
so the curator that was working on the staff, when she put up this title, I said, how did you come to such a meaningful title? I didn't do it, he did it.
It's a spelling mistake.
It was a spelling mistake.
Wow.
It's so powerful.
But you know, now when you look backward, you know, it's amazing.
Yes.
It's
not-
amazing.
That's
It's meant to
crazy.
be.
As if it's still communicating,
Yes,
you
it's
know?
meant
Yeah.
to be.
It's great, and I'm not a mystic.
So the paintings, when are they from? Like when did he do all these? Like he did them when he was like
First, all his life
young?
he was
all of his
painting.
life.
Yeah.
But what we present is only when he was 15.
Okay.
We
And-
have,
And until
until he died.
until
I mean, his last painting was drawing his invitation to the wedding. He was engaged to be married 2 weeks before the war started. And he was supposed to be married 3 weeks after he was killed.
Oh my God.
So during his preparation to enter Gaza, he drew the invitation using images that he saw around, you know, pomegranates that were blooming and
birds.
birds, amazing, with a Rav Kook phrase that has both Adar and Edna, his fiancée. And we also present that.
It's gonna be amazing.
And actually he was communicating with his older brother, Chemi, which is an artist, to get comments, you know. So now,
Critique.
so you're
Yeah.
using WhatsApp, you know.
No, but when they brought us this.
When they brought us his things, we found it in a small paper that he
Wow.
sketched and
Wow.
his picture.
For examples, he tried
Yeah.
to do something.
So during the army, I asked him, "Do they know you paint?" He said, "No, Mom." He preferred not to expose it, but he did do all these comics. Everybody knew because he was drawing the shirts you have in Israel whenever you finish a course or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So he was
Yuda
the
makes the
one to
t-shirt.
create the
Yuda,
motive.
Yeah.
it was this.
So whatever, and at home I have very small pieces. Whenever he was talking, he will just draw something on my shopping list or what. So I used to cut the thing. and
Do you have some of those up in the
put on my fridge?
No in the
Here, no. It was in the other exhibition where we
Yeah.
put the stuff.
Oh.
But I have some in my bag to show you.
Really?
Oh my
That's
goodness.
Some.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I actually saw some video footage of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu viewing Hadar's work with you standing by him. Are you able to share maybe what he said or?
Yeah, sure. First of all, we realized that
He looked.
Prime Minister himself is doing art.
Oh, really?
I've heard he doodles.
I don't
did
know.
not
He's
know
very
that.
interested in art,
Mm-hmm.
and
And also his wife.
the first time we presented Hadar's art exhibition was in Ein Hod. It's an artist village in Israel, very famous.
Near Haifa, south of
Yeah,
Haifa.
actually, they encouraged us. They
Oh,
invited
wow, that's
us
amazing.
to put up an exhibition. This was the first time that we realized that we can do it.
Yeah.
And then we're at the UN, he also came along, and from our point of view, I mean, a visit at the UN that was planned to be like 2-minute pass, just walk through it, ended up by being like half an hour where he asked for chairs and he was sitting and wanted to see everything in details.
Okay.
He he was very impressed by Hadar's work, by Hadar's character.
Yeah. And this is his mission, to bring back the soldiers.
Yeah. Now we expect for him to bring home the soldiers, you know.
Yeah. Leaders in Israel must they are taking them to the battlefield. They have to bring them back.
Yeah.
That's the promise.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
When you come out of Israel, and for some of us here, like I grew up in Israel, Effie was there for a couple years. It's a whole other reality. It's very hard to kind of explain to people who haven't experienced it. And when you bring this kind of story out to the world, like, what message would you want to get out to people who really don't have anything to do with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or humanitarian? Like, you know, they look at the Middle East and they see dirt and people yelling, and they don't get the situation. But coming back to just as people, if you could really say anything about what's going on, what would you want to say?
I would say, and actually we learned it here when people reflected this to us, that I think that, of course, first of all, before we discuss the case itself, we present Hadar to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, how do you say Hadar in English?
It has to do with...
It's a great word. In Hebrew, it's very important in the Bible, you know.
It's a
Yes.
very... Here, let's
Hadar.
try and think
What do you-
that.
Do some live Googling.
I'm going to...
No, it's more than that.
No.
no,
It's,
it's like splendor, right? It's like
Yeah.
It's more like a wonder.
it's wonder, it's splendor, it's glory, it's glory.
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 I think Hadar stands by his name, you know, with all the things he's been doing and presenting, and I think for the Jewish people, he is the face of the Israeli soldier, Israeli Jewish soldier. I mean, not like the anti-Semitic reactions view of the IDF soldiers.
Right.
You can see a great personality, humanitarian personality, an artist and an intellectual that goes to the army because it's the duty of every Israeli to do, and then fights for Israel to defend it. But he has other things to do. He is not, I mean, the army is not for him a profession. The army is only a duty to do because we live in danger and because in that war we had missiles and you know, those underground and whatever still is a big threat for the existence of Israel. So first of all, I think we bring to the world Hadar, the Israeli soldier, the Israeli Jewish soldier. Now, discussing our case, I think, is more profound because we bring a deep Israeli Jewish humanitarian issue and bring it into the discussion. You know, we suffer, everyone suffers from terror, and Israel suffers from our neighbors, you know, and I think when we discuss our case of humanitarian issue and how it happened, you know, violating ceasefire, it in a way it presents the what's going in Israel, because we don't go to fight to war because we want a war. We defend ourselves. And what happens to us is usually not acceptable things, you know? It's not acceptable violating ceasefire, holding bodies. I mean, we don't do things like this. I mean, we act according to our values and the Western values, while the other world, whole world, I think up till now, is accepting the behavior of the Hamas. I mean, if it would not accept the behavior, then they would stop supporting them.
Sure.
I mean, So I didn't plan for your question, because I think it's a
good
question
honest
for a
answer.
whole discussion.
Sure, it is.
But I think that what we heard during last Shabbat, people thanking to us that we bring into discussion humanitarian issue,
Values.
values, and things that people, in a way, stopped, forgot about them. Didn't forget about them, but didn't pay too much attention to it. So with us, and with our case, we bring them back to the focus and to the discussion, and it makes all Am Israel, or at least the people of Israel that we meet, more united, because these are the basic
Not only
values.
Jews. Not
Not only
Jews.
Jews. Christians as well.